if you could, don't think about money, don't think about time, don't think about anything. If you could live your dream, what would it be?
Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast today. I get excited for pretty much every interview, but today's an exceptionally exciting day because I'm chatting with somebody who just stepped into my life like 2 weeks ago, but who I think about every day since then. She's just wonderful, she's marvelous, and you're going to love hearing me chat with her. So welcome Rhonna to the podcast.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm so excited. You are such a rock star, and you are such a rock star to the point where, like, I didn't even know what a rock star you were. And Becky was like, no, like, she's a big deal. Like, she's a big deal.
Oh, my God.
You should be excited to be in the same room. Before even knowing what a big deal you were, though, the second you got into my car, like, I knew you were something special because you just have a radiant energy and you're just such a fun person. So
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's all true. We got to hang out at Pinners Conference. Well, not even at Pinners. We hung out after Pinners.
After party.
Yeah, the best party. We had amazing Thai food. We laughed, we cried, we had all kinds of fun. It was so fun. So, and now you're here on my turf, and I'm so excited to share your story. So first things first, tell everybody how many kids you have, how old they are, what your phase of motherhood is like right now.
I am kind of out of the woods. I hate to even say that because I remember feeling like I was in the woods, but I've got a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 16-year-old. And the first two are girls, 16 months apart. And let me tell you, when they were young, I was in it.
You were in the woods.
Older, yeah, exactly. Now that they're older, I'm not kidding. I am in a great phase of life where I hope that I do not take it for granted because I look back and I loved the younger years, but I think I took it for granted. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that now the things that I'm learning, I'm wiser, and I just love this phase of life.
Yeah, I bet you do. And I think it's so funny. And I know you know this, like coming out of the woods, you're about to enter a whole new wood.
Oh, yes, I already am. My eyes are wide open. I'm looking around it. Behind every tree to see what's going to jump out at me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It is really interesting. It's just a great time. It really is.
Yeah, I'm seeing my mom now. This last week, she has 4 daughters, and it was just one of those weeks where all 3 out of the 4, I guess, needed her. Or maybe even just the 2. Me and one of my sisters, we were just having a rough week. And seeing her, like, I could just cry talking about it. I have the best mom. Getting food at the grocery store, coming to my house, buying me a new crock pot because mine wasn't big enough because I just came out of apartment life, and putting food in it and making sure I was taken care of, and also taking care of a new grandbaby. And I was just like, man, motherhood never stops. And it kind of made me tired because I'm having a hard time now, but I'm never going to stop having a hard time worrying about my kids. So
it's true. You're always a mom.
You are. It's such a lifelong commitment, but that's really cool. Like, what else do you stick to for that long of a period in your life? What else does not phase out? You know, that's the one constant. It's so cool.
Yep, it is. We are lucky.
Yeah, we are so lucky. So, okay, so you're in that phase of motherhood, which I think a lot of my listeners are in the thick of the baby child rearing years, and they're probably looking and listening like, oh, I can't wait for that. It sounds so fun.
I wouldn't say fun. Like you said, you're still in the wood, but it is different. It's different, and it's just awesome. That's what I wish I would have looked back at is while I was in the thick of it with the little kids saying, this is awesome.
Yeah.
The syrup on the floor, or the things that you think you're going to scream, and you do scream at, you're just like, I can't do this anymore. But I look back and I just think it really was pretty awesome,
Yeah, that's so
embrace
true.
it.
I'm trying. Rhonna's referencing an actual truth because I just told her before we started recording that I left my office this morning to find a giant glob of syrup on the floor and Halloween candy, which was snuck into the bedrooms of my kids. And I just want to quit. It's just one of those days where I mopped the floor with my tears, quite literally. I just couldn't stop sobbing. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing all of this? It was just one of those moments. So, and I know you're very familiar with those because not only are you like in this phase of motherhood and you've survived those years, you also survived those years while creating a business and while following your own dreams. And those were some big dreams. I wish everybody could see behind you. Maybe I'll take a screenshot or something. The beautiful wall behind you, which is undoubtedly your design because you are
Yes.
Rhonna's Designs.
Yes, it is.
It's probably something you sketched in your sleep and you're like, this is beautiful.
It just came out that way. I went with my heart. I went with my gut.
Oh my gosh. It's so cool how we all have different skill sets, and the ones that you have are so far beyond my skill set.
But vice
so
versa.
different. Yeah.
You do awesome stuff that I could never do. And that's what makes it so awesome, right?
Yeah, it's so true. So true.
Yeah.
That's why I love this podcast and making it more of a community, because I feel like everybody has such different qualities to share and ways to advance each other. And I've had a lot of guests who have understood that and who have understood the power of that. And so it's fun to have yet another one, and also a little bit more wisdom in the journey. And we need people like you to tell us it's all worth it when we're in the thick of the mothering and the business raising. So why don't you tell everybody, like, give a snippet or a screenshot version of your life in growing Rhonna's Designs. Tell me how the dream started and how it evolved to what it is now.
Oh man, it is basically like what you said. It is a complete evolution. It's I never in a million years would think that I would be in the app business. That's where things have taken me. And 19 years ago, when I started Rhonna Designs, I was right in the thick of things. I had a brand new baby, our second daughter, and I kind of had that. I wanted to be a mom and a wife more than anything. I knew that was my calling. I knew that that's what I wanted. Yet there was a part of my creative soul that was starving and that was withering away. And I knew that in order to be a good mom and a wife, I needed to have that fulfilled as well. So I tried to figure out how I could do it. And I got my degree in art education, and I taught for a while. But then I decided, once again, I wanted to be a mom and a wife. So I stayed at home. Well, like I said, I felt like I was wilting, inside. And so okay, what is it? What do I want to do? And so my husband was so awesome, because he knew that I was wilting inside, and said, if you could, don't think about money, don't think about time, don't think about anything. If you could live your dream, what would it be? And I told him what it was. And as I started to work towards that dream, it has evolved to a whole new realm that 19 years ago, we didn't have smartphones. We didn't even have, apps. What were those?
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was. But with every single turn of events and the evolution, the thing that I learned is I had to listen to my heart. Mm-hmm. There were books out there. There were the how-tos. You could go to conferences. And when I would go there, things just didn't sit well with me. I would learn things, but I thought, that's not my formula. My formula was totally different from other people. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned is, yes, you've got your rules and everything that you learn about how to do things. But my philosophy is rules are made to be broken.
Oh, I like that.
I know that they're there for a reason, and you need to know what those rules are. But I learned that once I knew what was there, then I looked a different direction and said, okay, what does my heart tell me that I should do? And sometimes people would say, that's not going to work. And I'd say, I know it doesn't seem like it, but it will. So fast forward, many years, I went through different things like greeting cards and gift bags and gift wrap, and started designing scrapbook paper. And it was all done digitally, which I got to tell you, this is really funny. The reason it was done digitally is because we were so dirt poor in grad school that I only had a certain amount of art supplies. And once they were gone, I couldn't afford to buy any more. So I learned how to scan and, manipulate it digitally. So that's why I was an artist, because I have my training in like watercolor and drawing and things like that, which I love. But because out of necessity, I taught myself Photoshop and learned how to do it. So now that I look back, there was a reason that I needed to have it be digital, because that's what led me to the app business. It's all digital. So isn't that crazy? So I look back and wow, that's amazing. So I was able to be a mom and a wife, but also had that creativity sometimes overflow out of me, where I just thought, I didn't have enough time in the day,
Yeah.
So that's where I am now, and I love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have so many thoughts on everything that you just said. First of all, that is awesome. That is the best thing that I've ever heard come from being poor. Like, you know what I mean? We had no money to buy stuff. And I don't know if you've listened to Becky's episode yet, Whippy Cake, And her husband, I know you've heard her probably tell this story. Her husband was like, I don't know who Michael is or his friend Joanne, but either you start making money from this crafting thing or you're cut off,
Right.
So yours is similar in that way, but it was just kind of like out of necessity. But what a huge blessing. I think a lot of us, I literally had this thought today, like, my dreams are so big. If I just had endless resources, I could make them all come true. But maybe I need to look at the limits and how they can benefit me. That is such a cool perspective that I've never thought of before. So already we're like 10 minutes into this and you've already rocked my world.
Awesome. Yay.
You are winning and I am winning at life because I'm talking to you. And this is what I'm talking about, this wisdom that has to come, because you get to look back and you have a little bit of that hindsight that we don't have yet. We're still in the middle of like, I don't know why this is happening. This is so hard. I don't get it, but okay, I'll keep doing it.
Exactly.
So because you're a rule breaker, this is another thing I wanted to ask you. I think sometimes all of us feel inclined to see the systems and see the formulas and yet feel like we have to do it our own way. And it's just that integrity to ourselves and to our vision. Do you feel like, I mean, obviously you're grateful you followed that. Do you feel like it's going to give a little bit more work or a little bit more to overcome, that you're going to have to push past and not have doubt in that vision? Does that make sense? Oh, yes,
definitely. And I think because you hear all of the different voices coming and you think, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing what so-and-so does. And, this podcast told me to do this, or this conference told me to do this. And yet it didn't sit well. Yeah. And so but see, some people are going to hear the exact same thing and it is going to resonate. Uh-huh. And so I really think that is overcoming the doubt, like you said, is huge. And knowing inside, I am doing what I need to do, because I think integrity is a good word. Mm-hmm. You've got to be true to yourself. You do. And you have to believe in yourself, because you're going to have the naysayers. You're going to have people saying, you're going to run into opposition. Yeah. Unless you've got that deep down that this is the path I know I'm supposed to go down, then it's easy to listen to all of the distractions. Mm-hmm. But being focused, laser focused, is what I've learned is, there's a fine line between being laser focused and then not listening to the things that are trying to tell you what to do. It's that little devil, little devil and angel on the shoulder. You've got the distractions that are good, that lead you places, but you also have the other distractions that pull you from what you're supposed to be doing. So it really is a fine line. And again, I don't have a formula, Yeah. I can't tell you what the formula is. I just know what has worked for me. Yeah. And hopefully hearing that from somebody else, something might spark something inside, like, oh, I'll grab onto that one idea, and that's what will help me get through.
Yeah. What about so in my journey and my business and everything that I've created, I don't feel like I've had any haters or naysayers necessarily, because it's a needed message. It's an awesome thing. I think my biggest naysayer and my biggest doubter is myself. So have you run into that a whole bunch? I know that's probably an obvious question to ask. I mean, in the middle of it, you have to, right?
Yes. And I think you always do. I think that's part of progressing. That's part of growing, is being able to overcome that and say, what is the core of what I'm doing? Why am I doing this? I'll tell you, I was in a business. Scrapbooking was a dog-eat-dog world. I mean, there were some mean women in that business.
I'm sure.
And I had the thing that was so different about me is that at the time that I got into scrapbooking, I was doing everything digital. And back then, digital scrapbooking was not even a thing. Yeah. And so I had people telling me on forum boards, telling me, you're not a real scrapbooker. You're not doing it the right way. And people were, I'm not kidding, they were mean, flat out mean about what I was doing. And I just kept thinking, okay, I have a choice here. I can listen to them and I can start letting their doubts and their negativity influence me. Or I can say, I respect how you feel, but I know that this is the path that I'm supposed to go. And so that's what I chose to do. There were some days, I'm not going to lie, some days I was shaking with rage at what some of the people were saying. I mean, you're behind your computer and people would say just the craziest things. And there was one night that I was so upset about something that my husband walked in, and I was just like on fire. And he looks at me and he slammed down my laptop and he said, you use your energy on doing positive things. And that stuck with me huge because I was feeding into everything that they were doing. I was feeding into the negativity, even though I thought I was being positive. Mm-hmm. But I learned when I did that, that took my energy that I could be focusing on doing good and creating and being true to myself. So I learned for me, do not listen to the haters. Do not listen to the naysayers. There will always be the naysayers, but they don't have room in my circle.
Yeah. Which I'm grateful to be in.
Kick them out.
That's so true. I think we all we hear that, we know that, but it's very hard to master.
It is.
I love that there's literally your husband slammed the computer down. No more. You're not going to spend your energy this way. We only get so much of it to use. Why would we waste it on that? Right. And I want to go, I was actually going to bring this up before you even went there. When I was hanging out with you and you brought up, my friend Laura was there, who's also been on the podcast, who's just awesome, the coolest girl.
She is.
And she was like, please mentor me. I have ideas and I don't know what to do with them. And instead of being like, okay, well, yeah, I don't really do that, or I don't have time for that. You were like, yes, let's do it. And you also had that time in your business and in your life where everybody was very, very closed door, very stingy about their knowledge and wanting to share and very scarcity mindset. And you really changed that. And I think that's really probably been pivotal in your success because you do have that understanding that the more you share and the more we can all grow together, kind of like how I said about this podcast, it's just better. There's just no limit on success. There's no limit on creation at all.
Yeah, exactly. One of my light bulb moments in my journey was that there is enough for everyone. Mm-hmm. There's enough ideas, enough creativity, enough money. I mean, when I say that, people kind of look at me like, they want to jump down my throat, but I'm convinced that there is enough for everyone. Yeah. And when we have that abundance mindset, we open doors. I've seen it happen in my business. I've seen it happen in my life. And even though it doesn't make sense on paper, it's work. And I've put it to the test and I've seen there were also times where I'd be at a show or something where my designs would be out and I'd be walking down the aisles and I would see someone with almost the exact same design. And immediately I was like, they stole my design. And one day I got this feeling, I believe it was total inspiration that these ideas are not mine in the first place. Oh, I get them from a higher source and he is sharing them with everybody. And we can get the same idea at the same time. And it's not going to hurt any of us. We'll do different things with that idea. Mm-hmm. But we need to be true to who we are and recognize that everybody else around us, especially, when you're in the same industry,
right?
You're all doing the same thing. So chances are you are going to have a lot of the same ideas. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. That's what I learned. It's okay if you have the same idea.
Yeah.
It's nothing to get upset about, nothing to use that negative energy on. So the whole abundance mindset totally changed the way I see business and life and everything.
Yeah. And it's like a muscle you have to exercise that I feel like no matter where you are in your life, no matter what age you are, when you finally grasp it, it's not like, oh, I understand abundance now. I'm going to live it and I'm always going to have abundance. Oh, it is such a test. And we've been like a roller coaster ever since we discovered all of these amazing opportunities in life where literally it perpetuates itself. You can perpetuate scarcity. You can perpetuate abundance.
Yep.
Just in your own brain. It's so crazy. So I love that you understand that concept and that you continue to share yourself and make everybody else better because that's the point of being here.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We help each other.
Exactly. I love it so much. So you worked your tail off while raising your family, while growing your business. You did some awesome things. And within the last few years, what happened to you physically that kind of changed your path, your story?
Ugh.
I know you're like, do we have to go here?
Yeah, this is so hard to talk about, but it is so important in my journey.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, I was in the scrapbooking industry and I really thought I was living the dream, you know? Mm-hmm. And my kids were young. In fact, I started it when my youngest was 3. So I had a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old when I first started. And, that's tough. That's, those ages are tough ages, very, very you got to be there with them all the time. And so it was trying to find that balance was really hard. The one thing about the abundance mindset, I have to say, is like you said, there is an abundance of everything. So I had so many ideas and so many opportunities and so many things. And I thought I had to say yes to everything because those opportunities came. Yeah. Because, why would I let this go? This is so great. And so I worked myself to near death. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
And it was about, I would say when it first started manifesting itself was about 5 years ago. And I started, I'm a graphic artist. I started losing my sight. I couldn't hold a pen. I couldn't hold a pencil. Wow. I was in constant pain. All these things were happening and I was forced to slow down. And that just about, my mind was really, I was still running with all these ideas, but I physically could not do anything. So I was forced to be in bed. So here I have these kids that by this time they are, 5 years ago. So I had a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And again, they're still high maintenance. I still wanted to be with them and everything, but I was literally in bed. Wow. I couldn't do anything. And now that I look back on it, it's very interesting because that's what got me into the app business, because I was able to be in my bed. I had my laptop, I had technology, I was still able to work. But that's when I learned just because I have all these opportunities and just because I have all of these ideas doesn't mean I have to do it all. Right. I am not supposed to do it all. I can do it all, but why do I need to do it all? Mm-hmm. So I had the past 5 years have been very physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually enlightening for me. I thought I knew what was going on. I thought I knew how I ticked, which I did. I learned a lot, but it's almost like I needed to go to a different level. And the only way I would listen is if I physically couldn't do anything and I had to be still. Mm-hmm. So I learned how to be still. I learned how to listen. I learned how to slow down. And through that experience, I learned that I can do more with less. And I always thought it was more, more, more. Give me more ideas, give me more opportunities. And I learned that that's not, for me, that is not what was best for me and my family. Mm-hmm. So I had to be very selective and very determined on what was the most important, not anything else floating around there, Mm-hmm. So through a series, I've kind of gone, I hope I've been at my very lowest.
Yeah, and I hope so too for you.
Yeah. I'm coming out of it. There have been lots of blessings where I found different doctors that are helping, and I kind of have my formula now that I know I have to do certain things every day, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, or I start to go down again. So it's kind of it was a self-check, self-awareness that I was forced into, and I'm so grateful that I had it.
Yeah.
Oh, but again, in the midst of it, it was bad.
No, definitely not the years that you want to do a redo on. Or if you can, you do it a little bit differently, or you would maybe change some things.
Yep, exactly.
I love that whole concept. I think that'll be the title of your episode, Doing Less with More, because it comes right back to that. Like, you went into digital because you didn't have the money to buy all the things. And you just did a lot with very little. And I think that's so cool. I've heard this a lot with people who have like physical impairments and just, handicaps that hold them back, where it causes you, like blind people can have a really keen sense of hearing. Yep. So you almost needed a little bit of a handicap on something so that you did have the ability to see past what you were able to see at that time, like break through those barriers. So that is not the best way to have to experience that, to have the physical pain and the physical limitations. But of course you would come away with it with this perspective, because I'm beginning to see why Becky loves you so much and why she claims that you'll be her best friend forever.
Yes, all of you.
There's only so many people I'm willing to share her with. So
okay, all right.
Now she really has to not be stingy and share you with me too, which
exactly.
She's probably like, oh no. No, but it's back to abundance, right? Like I love that I continue to find these amazing people to surround myself with. It just makes me a better human. It really does. I mean, you were the person I needed to chat with today, and I just love you. I think you're incredible.
Thank you.
So creative and so talented. You're so sweet. So now kind of you're in this phase where you're not having to do the day-to-day. You're coming a little bit out of the physical like fog that you've been in, and you know what you need to do and you're doing it. So now you've created these apps. When were the apps officially put into the App Store?
The first one that we did was in 2013. And honestly, I had I don't know anything about apps. I mean, really, it's kind of comical that we ended up doing it this way. It made sense with the digital art, but I don't know how to program and build apps. And we connected with a developer that's been phenomenal. And he took a chance on us. He took a risk. And we really didn't know what was going to happen. And the day, we didn't know exactly the day that it would release, but it was July 3rd in the evening, like the worst possible time to ever launch an app. And I was at a family reunion up in the mountains in Colorado, had no idea that it had released, and we hit #1 that day.
Oh my gosh.
And our developer texted us and he's like, this is going crazy. He's like, I had no idea. I just thought we would be, this would be something fun to do. And since then, so we're almost this July. So it's about 2.5 years, right? Uh-huh. We have been constantly on the top charts. We won Best of 2013. We were awarded with the App Store.
Wow.
It's honestly blows my mind that it happened that way, but there was a need and it was filled and people love it. Wow. And so because that first one was so exhilarating and so fun, I started thinking, now I want this to happen and this to happen. So I would just tell our developer and he said, let's make it happen. So we've got right now, about a year later, Rhonna Magic was released, and that one is a photo editing app where you can put like textures and cool like bubble lights, they call it bokeh. You can do different colors, and then you can also add, like for photographers or business people, you can add your own logo or watermark on it. Cool. But then it talks to Rhonna Designs. And so you can toggle back and forth and work on things. And then we decided, but now I want to be able to do this. And so
there's more.
Exactly. So we built another one called Rhonna Collage. And that one is like, you'll take this is where my scrapbooking days came back in, but you take a background or something, and then you can collage photos and even put video in with it. Ooh. And so that's a great way to document, I'm going to say it, who has time to sit, get all their scrapbook stuff out and scrapbook your kids? No one has time for that anymore. You're on your phones. And so why not be able to, we're always taking pictures, we're always taking video. So pop that into a little page and you just documented your week or your day or whatever. And then again, that one talks to Rhonna Designs and Rhonna Magic. Wow. And then just because we're crazy like that, our developer said, hey, there's this new thing that's coming out called iOS 10 for Apple, and it allows you to put stickers in your texts. And this was brand new. Apple was just starting it, but the developers get a heads up. So he said, let's design it. So I got busy designing what I always wanted for emojis, that, crossing the fingers, mic drop, things like that.
Yeah.
And so then the day that it launched, people were kind of confused because they weren't quite sure what, iOS 10 was doing and everything.
Yeah,
but
I was one of those.
Yes. Oh, I was too. I would have probably been like, no, thank you. And unless we get it out. But it caught Apple CEO's Tim Cook's eye, and he loved our stickers app. And wow. In fact, when he was up here in Utah for a tech conference, he invited us to be his guests. We were backstage. We had dinner. I mean, it was kind of crazy, but wow. He liked my app, so kind of fun how things will lead you to different, I never thought we would be doing this, but it is so fun. I love it.
Sounds fun. That is incredible. And yes, I have the stickers now because you gave me a very step-by-step description of how to do it. I will actually put that in the show notes so everybody with an iPhone can go and get those because they are so fun. And they are the apps the emojis that you wish you had that Apple just can't quite keep up with.
Right.
They're so cute. And now it's like I will never text you again without expecting a really cute sticker app.
Totally.
Oh my gosh. I am obsessed with that story. I'm obsessed with the fact that, I don't know. I still am blown away by the fact that if we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, we never know the end result. And your end result isn't even here. Like you're not even halfway through what you're going to accomplish.
Yeah. We're all on the path of our journey.
Yeah. It's so awesome. And I love the different like milestones that you've had to overcome. I love that you've kept going, that you still have a smile on your face, that you have this incredible, what's the word? Contagious energy that people just can't resist.
Thank you.
The best kind of contagious to have. If you're going to have anyone.
Yeah.
You are so wonderful. So what does your future look like in your mind? Now that your kids are getting a little bit older, how much more are you going to keep working? What is your vision for the future if you had to say you had one?
Well, of course, we all need vision, right? We need to have a goal. We need to have a plan. But one thing I have learned is that make sure you're flexible with that because things don't always go the way it's planned.
Yeah.
But I think before I got sick, I would have said, in fact, I remember saying it, that once my kids are grown up, I'm going to, work harder and harder and do more and more. And I've realized I'm not going to. I know my limits, and limits are okay to have. Mm-hmm. There's nothing defeating about that. Nothing that, in fact, I feel more empowered when I realize that I know my limits.
Yeah.
Because I think that is a huge thing to embrace, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. There really isn't. But I remember thinking that I should be able to do this and this and this and this. These are my ideas and I should be able to do it. What's wrong with me if I can't?
Do it all.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a huge lie. I really do. I don't think, when we talk about balance and we talk about these things that really aren't real. Well, I think you and I were talking about multitasking. Yeah. That's a bunch of baloney. I'm sorry. I hate to burst everyone's bubbles. And maybe it's okay for you. Actually, I should say that. But for me, I learned multitasking does not work. Balance is different than what I always thought it was.
Yes.
And working more is different than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
So my vision for the future is to work smarter, to live abundantly, but go ahead and embrace my limits, and to love more. I just look and I think that's really where I get my fulfillment. That's why I love to do the apps, because I love people on social media. I love to see how they're creating. I love to see what they're using, those little tools that I'm putting in their hands, what they're doing to, my hashtag is uplift and inspire, because I want them to uplift and inspire those people that are in their circle of influence. So it's kind of interesting, because when I think of working, it's not going to be designing faster than, the ideas can, or as fast as the ideas come. It's more of sharing the love and helping others uplift and inspire those in their circle of influence.
Ooh, I love that so much. It's like a season shift for you. You're like, I've done the hustle and bustle that you guys are needing to do right now. Let me help you do it. Let me help you make your dreams come true through my dreams, like my dreams that I've already kind of created and brought to life. Yep. And it is cool. Like just the whole concept of an app, you're not owning every design. Does that make sense? Like you're giving people the tools to go and create their own thing. So that's like abundance right there. You're not keeping it all for yourself. And I love that. That's really cool.
That was actually something I had to learn as an artist. I remember in college, I had a professor who said to me, you're going to have to someday let go of your art. And I remember thinking, no, this is my baby. This is something I created. And that has been a process for me to be able to let go of it and say, again, there's enough for everyone. Yeah. There were more ideas coming, and it's okay. So the fact that from the time when I started, I got my traditional degree and everything to the time now, that's huge for me too, to be able to say, it's okay that I'm giving this. I feel like it's practically giving it away because it's 99 cents. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're enjoying it and they're able to create and uplift and inspire. So that is where I feel fulfilled.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You are such an example. Everybody listening has probably gleaned so much good, so many of the warm fuzzies from listening to you talk.
Because, I hope so.
Well, we need all of those concepts. We need to be told every day, to be reminded every day, because I've totally been in scarcity mode for the last couple of days, and it just helps to be reminded that there's enough for everyone. There's enough joy. There's enough success. And I love that you say enough money, because there really is. People don't understand how much money is out there for the taking. So much. Even when you're only charging 99 cents for an app. When you have the number one app in iTunes, it ain't 99 cents anymore.
That's true.
So I love that so much. And look at how spreading that to more people just makes the world a better place. So that's awesome. Okay, so last two questions. What are you reading right now? Because I love knowing what's on everybody's bookshelf or Audible.
I love reading, and I've learned that for me, sometimes I have to listen because, like you're saying, because I hate to say it, but my eyes are getting old and I have to wear glasses and it gives me a headache.
Yeah.
So I listen a lot. But the last one that I listened to was called The Continuous Atonement by Brad Wilcox, and it was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. It was a really good listen because it's the author that's talking and he's a really good speaker. So it was great. I highly recommend that.
Okay. I'll add that to my list.
Okay.
And then finally, even though you've summed this up for the last 35 minutes, what makes you a marvelous mom?
This is a hard one because when you asked me before and I've thought about it, number one, I think if I'm marvelous at all, it is because of God. I mean, I have to give him glory in everything because everything I've learned, everything I've accomplished, I certainly did not do it myself.
Right.
And I know that, and I cannot take credit. So I think whatever makes me marvelous comes from above, comes from whoever you believe in,
Yeah.
It's when you recognize that you are a powerful being inside that is ready to unleash the greatness that you are, but you can't do it on your own. You need divine help. You need divine inspiration. You need help from others. And that's why I think it's so important to help one another, because I really do feel like we can work through inspiration that way too. So if I'm marvelous in any way, it's because of that. And the other thing is love. I feel like I really do love people. It's almost to a fault sometimes. I'm like, oh, I just love you. I really do. I love people. I love social media for that very reason, because you can connect people all over the world, And then when it comes down to it is just your people that you're with every single day in your home. Love, love, love. And that's what makes anyone marvelous.
I love that so much. Of course, you gave a ballpark answer. I mean, not a ballpark. You knocked it out of the park. Is that the right thing to say?
Either way, yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say. You are truly the epitome of marvelous, and I love you because you are that person, because you love everybody, and you just make people feel loved, and people can't help but love you back when you love them that much. So I think that's one of your best attributes and something that makes me want to be your friend absolutely forever.
Yay!
Best day ever! Oh, you're awesome, Rhonna. Thank you for spending time and sharing these beautiful messages with everybody listening who I know needed them. I know I needed them. So I know so many people will also benefit from hearing your words.
Thank you. Mwah.
That's the best sign off ever. Nobody's ever made an audible kissing noise. That was the best. Yes.
Okay, yes.
I'll just copy that and duplicate it, and we'll just have that at the end of every episode from now on.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you've been as enriched as I have, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Have a marvelous day. It's the holidays, and I want to make sure everybody is aware that there is a 12 days of giveaways going on over on Marvelous Moms Club. Head over to the Facebook page, the like page, and find out what today's giveaway is. There will be a new giveaway each day for the next 12 days. you might be the lucky winner. Just head over there and enter today's giveaway and check back tomorrow to see what we're giving away next. Merry Christmas, Marvelous Moms.